Boxing and VR seem like a natural fit, and with a capable headset and room scale movement, it really should be an easy one to pull off. The fact Servius is here a second time and still hasn't got it quite right where other smaller developers have is a bit of a shame. It's not that Creed Rise to Glory Championship Edition is a bad game, even if it is a mouthful, it's alright for what it is. It's that the opportunity to fix some of the annoyances from the original PSVR release has been squandered, and we're left with a remaster that doesn't really feel like it's worth the price of admission for a second go on the same ride. For those who already own the original PSVR game, you can upgrade to the Championship Edition for around £16 or $20, which is a bit steep considering it doesn't really add much to the original experience that couldn't have been patched in as an update. The new content is a few extra fighters, costumes, some new rings to fight in, and a few extra chapters to coincide with the Creed 3 movie. It's hardly game-changing stuff. What is a game changer though is having Creed on the PSVR 2. Where the original struggled with the dodgy tracking, this remaster does a much better job thanks to the PSVR 2's improved tracking system and far more comfortable controllers, as expected. It's now possible to really move around, duck, weave and throw punches without the game getting confused. If you've got the space, you can certainly take advantage of the room scale features, so long as you don't wander too far and risk pulling your console to the ground. Alternatively, you can play in a smaller area with minimal physical movement and get by with the sticks for moving and turning. On the topic of tracking and movement and such, I can't say I was entirely satisfied. At times, it seemed like my in-game hands weren't going where I wanted them to. I noticed this when I was up close and personal with a fighter and I was trying to land some body shots. Perhaps the controllers weren't being fully tracked by the headset as they were lower down, I can't be sure, but it happened enough to annoy me. Another gripe is that my in-game arms never extended as much as my real-life arms, giving me a weird disconnection between my brain and my eyes. One solution is to just never stretch my arms out fully, but in a boxing game, that's just not really doable. You've got a few modes to play around with here. Story mode returns with a few extra fights thrown in from the Creed 3 movie. Free mode lets you set up your own fights, playing as whoever you like and fighting whoever's face you fancy punching. You can also get stuck into the training minigames and post your scores online. Speaking of online, there's the PvP mode, which has been improved and offers cross-play functionality between PSVR 2 and MetaQuest 2 players. I only played a couple of matches and it worked quite well to be fair, but I was exhausted by the end of it because the gameplay really is physical and if you're not in tip-top shape, you'll definitely feel the burn. Gameplay wise, it's boxing. You throw punches and try not to get punched yourself. It's as simple as that. If you've got experience in scrapping with your hands, you'll likely find it a bit too simplistic and arcadey. Fights tend to swing between a few seconds of punching, followed by a few seconds of blocking, and the loop goes on until you either win or lose. There are some gamey aspects thrown in that, while being a bit silly, also feel necessary to add some difficulty. It's a VR boxing game, nobody is actually smacking you around, so the game needs a way for you to lose. Take a few too many blows and you'll be thrown into an out-of-body view where you'll need to match the hand positions of your character to return to the fight. Get knocked down and a similar thing happens, where you're thrown out of your body and you have to swing your arms to run back to the fight. Each knockdown makes this a little tougher, and if you're already tiring, then swinging your arms back and forth at speed definitely ups the challenge. While the gameplay is more or less identical to the original game, there is a new endurance mode that turns off the in-game stamina system. The stamina system is an integral part to the in-fight gameplay. While you're throwing your hands at your opponents, an invisible stamina meter is running in the background. Once it's empty, your gloves glow to indicate that your punches will not deal as much damage. It's time to step back, defend, and regain some stamina before going on the attack again. It can be a bit frustrating at times. During some fights, I found myself being forced to defend when, in reality, I still had gas in the tank. Removing the stamina means you're only tired when you're actually tired, and that's great if you want to let loose. For those who've played before, the only real reason to dip back into Creed is if you really enjoyed the first one, or thought that you would enjoy it more with a better tracking system. It's not the best VR boxing experience out there. The thrill of the fight gets that honour, but options are limited right now on PSVR 2. That said, don't go into this one expecting a massive jump in quality from the original. The graphics are a little nicer and clearer, and the tracking makes gameplay less of a chore. For newcomers and fans of the movie franchise, it's a fairly fun, if simple way to get involved, and it's pretty cool being able to relive classic fights from the original Rocky movies. And that is the end of this review. Thank you very much for watching as always. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, go on down below, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever we've got new stuff. I've been Chris, you've been gorgeous, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, cheers my dears.